Baseball isn't just America's pastime. It's the world's game. From Tokyo to the Dominican, from Mexico to SoCal. Angel Stars trade halos for their home flags. And every pitch carries a sense of national pride. Different countries, one diamond. This is the Halos in the Infield Podcast, World Baseball Classic Special.
Well, hello there. It's Todd Fox here on the Halos in the Infield postgame show, wrapping things up for the United States game, which is 1 out away right now. The reason why I'm checking in before the game is over, because we got a Ducks game that I'm watching on a smaller screen here below my computer monitors, where the Ducks have just tied it against the Canadians at 5-5. We'll have the postgame show with that. I've been watching both right now. If you can stomach, as I think they got the second out right now. They're 1 out away, America, from taking game one of their pool play against Team Brazil, which Team Brazil, and again, Ducks post game will follow this show right after. This is not going to be a long show per se, but we're just going to get into a little bit of what the United States did today against Brazil, which the Ducks now go to overtime with the Canadians. We'll get into that in a second. So with that being said, hello and welcome. We're going to be doing this after every U.S. game. I believe the next two opponents, or the next team they got, and then they got Mexico. That's the big one next week, but they do have one game against Great Britain first. And then they got Mexico, and then they finish up with Italy to end pool play, and we'll see if they can get the needed 2 or 3 wins to get into the Final Four. With that being said, tonight's game, if you're watching U.S. Over there on Fox beating Brazil 15-5, it's a lot closer than that. If the Brazilian team, and here's the thing, I was doing a little bit of homework there with the fiance as she was schooling me, because I'm like, boy, there's an awful lot of Japanese players on Brazil. And she said since wartime, there was a lot of Germans that went down there. There's a lot of Japanese. A lot of your Axis powers fled during World War II, and thus you have an influx of different nationalities or mixtures. And so I was like, oh, that's pretty cool, because at first I thought they were Filipinos, but hey, man, to whoever's playing out there, the better. This is why we watch. You have such a great integration of all types of people playing, of all nationalities, I should say. And it was great, man. It was good to see. But Brazil is a team just starting off in this tournament. They're barely getting their feet wet. They have not gotten an official World Baseball Classic W. And not to say that they were going to get one tonight, but they put up some runs. And you have some players that are in the minors around the league that gave them a bit of a push. You have some good coaching. The pitching is what did them in. I mean, my God, how in the hell do the Americans only have 15 runs? They literally walked 17 U.S. players, plus they also hit 3 batters and balked in a run. So if you're telling me right now, we did a show the other day we were talking, me and Fernando, and we were talking up the lineup and everything else like that. And I was kind of pissed that Skubal and Skeens are only going to throw limited pitches. And this is what, again, we'll reiterate what Lee Hacksaw Hamilton, the great legend from Mighty 690, said. He said, he wishes that this World Baseball Classic was played in the middle of the season, by the All-Star break, because a lot of these teams have insurances on these players. A lot of these players aren't allowed to play. We're not seeing the best of the Americans because teams don't want – I mean, when you look at injuries over the last few years, injuries happen because of the fact that they're not able to be stretched out. Pitchers aren't stretched out, and they go too hard in preseason or in April, and they're screwed up. And this is another way to get players like Edwin Diaz back in the day. He got hurt in a World Baseball Classic ago. There's a lot and was lost for the year. So there's stuff like that can happen where teams are more not willing to spare their players. They don't want to spare them because of risk of injury. So with that being said, I believe you're not getting the best of the best when it comes to the Americans. And, I was skeptical of the starting pitching to start out. The bullpen's kind of average. They got some, Mason Miller's obviously Mason Miller. You got some good players. but some good bullpen pieces. But for the most part, I'm not scared of this team. Japan's throwing basically their number ones at us. Puerto Rico, you got some really good players on those teams, and they're going to ball out. They really don't care. I know there's some players that Fernando mentioned that aren't allowed to play on some of these teams like Dominican and stuff like that, and I get it. But again, this would serve the league best if they could play everybody instead of just playing some of the players. Uh, but with that being said, you have a power lineup like the Americans, and yes, they were sitting back and just allowing the what do you call it, the Brazilian team to rack up the pitches. And I think they threw something like 200 and some odd pitches tonight. I'll take a look at that here in a second. But boy, oh boy, yeah, let's see. Look at it right here. Brazil had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 pitchers. They threw 221 pitches. Only 96 pitches were strikes. The rest were straight up freaking balls, pitches outside. Yes, the umpire was pinching. A lot of those strikes were, there should have been strikes in the lower part of the plate, but he wasn't giving them. You had to be almost perfect tonight to get those pitches, whereas U.S. only threw 4 pitchers. But again, when I saw that Michael Walker was on this team, I was not impressed. There's other pitchers they could have got. These guys are aging veterans, the ones they did get. Yeah, I mean, for God's sakes, you got a retired pretty much Clayton Kershaw. He didn't even pitch in the postseason, and we're going to have to rely on him in this tournament. So that's why me and Fernando both agreed. I don't think U.S. is going to win the whole thing. I think it's going to come down to Team Japan, maybe even Team what is it, Dominican, to win this thing. Or Puerto Rico. I don't see. I really don't see the U.S. getting it done. I mean, they'd have to have a Herculean effort out of the pitchers that they do have. I mean, if Scuba was allowed to pitch the whole way, or if you had Skeens pitching the whole way, then it's a different story. But I just don't feel too confident with these teams. So with that being said, I mean, come on, dude. You had Maro Stika. He threw 35 pitches, only 13 for strikes. Another guy, Takahashi, the starter, 37 pitches, only 19 for strikes. 33 pitches for Contreras, only 13 for strikes. These guys were lit up tonight, and they were so lucky that this one wasn't like a mercy rule game. It should have been. And I was a little disappointed in the pitching for the U.S. I mean, they hung some pretty good fastballs, change-ups, even a slider up in the zone. It was just hammered. A couple guys had 2 home runs. You had, let's see, in the 7th inning, you had Maskai with his first. 7th inning off of Waka. Ramirez hit his second in the first inning. First in the first inning off of Webb. 8th inning off of Spire. And then Rojo hit one. Well, that was RBIs. But you had 2 guys with 2 home runs. And then one with actually, no, you had one with the 1 home run and the one with 2 home runs. My bad. But 3 home runs given up. Not exactly the cleanest game. So that was kind of frustrating right there. And again, the offense not really getting it done. The really funny thing, though, is that you had Bregman get hit twice. Should have got hit 3 times. I love that. Houston fans didn't like that, as they were right there in the flesh right there, not liking the fact that one of their former guys got hit twice, almost 3 times, but he was walked 4 times. So he had the golden sombrero with walks. 2 walks for Bobby Witt Jr., who had a big RBI. Actually, no, it wasn't him with the RBIs. The RBIs went to Terang. Terang had the big bases loaded clearing hit right there to give them the lead. I think it was at that point 3-1, and he helped make it 7-1 after 5. Then again, Brazil would come back with 3 runs, including an RBI single, a 2-run homer to make it 7-4. That's as close. Well, and then it was 8-4. They added on a run in the bottom of the 8th inning to make it 8-5, and then the 9th inning was a touchdown by U.S. to put the game really away. But boy, oh boy, that was not what we were expecting tonight. I really thought there was more left out there on the plate. As far as pitching for the Americans, I thought Webb did a good job. 4 innings, except the what is it called? The leadoff batter hitting the home run. He had 6 strikeouts. He did good, but again, Waka sucked. Spire gave up a home run. Mason Miller struck out the side in the 9th inning, so they didn't have to go to the well too much with the pitching. But I'm I'm very scared of this team, not against Great Britain, although Great Britain has a couple guys like Chaz Chiselholm and a few other guys like that. But you know, again, against a lineup that pretty much had some decent minor leaguers in Bichette, should have did a lot better. And especially against a pitching staff that, again, is just lucky to be there, to be playing not only in the minors, but most of these guys aren't in the minors. They're free agents. They're the best of the Brazilian leagues. And that's not saying much. Brazil is at least a decade behind, if not more, when it comes to talent down there developing. And the World Baseball Classic will help future teams of Brazil and other teams like Great Britain and stuff like that in the future. But right now, yeah, this is a team that you just got to mollywop, dude. You got to kill them. And unfortunately, the Americans didn't do that. So 15-5. And we'll look at the schedule here moving forward for the rest of the World Baseball Classic. As let's see, we get into the scoreboard for today. Chinese Taipei beat Czechia. Czechia is now 0-2. Chinese Taipei won 9-0. Cuba beat Panama 3-1. Mexico in the game before the Americans defeated Great Britain 8-2. Great Britain 0-1. Nicaragua loses to the Dominican Republic 12-3. You had Japan 13-0 blowing out Chinese Taipei as Otani hit a grand slam in that one. Mercy rule was in effect in the seventh inning. Venezuela defeated the Netherlands 6-2. Puerto Rico shuts out Colombia 5-0. And of course, Americans win 15-5 by 10 runs. But again, it should not have been that close, and it was that close. They were within 3 runs. So there you go, right there. Three Strange says Mexico, Venezuela were impressive, and Mancada Jesus, if he can play like that and stay healthy for the Halos, that'd be a good thing. But we'll see. Sega also checks in with basically they brought batting practice for the bullpen. They sure did. Let's see. So tomorrow's games are like this. Korea will be at Japan. So hopefully they'll put up a better opponent for them. Because again, I freaking hate Otani. Colombia versus Canada. Canada's first game going out. Nicaragua versus Netherlands. You got Brazil versus Italy. And then you have Panama, Puerto Rico, Israel, Venezuela, Great Britain versus the U.S., and then Chinese Taipei versus Korea. So with that being said, we will kick it off tomorrow with a post-game show. If the Americans can knock off the Great Britain, we'll be here or not, but we'll be here sometime. Let's see, around this time, hopefully around 8:20 or so, because this game took a lot longer to finish because of all the goddamn walks. Silent E says to send us off right there, and be sure to check out Silent E's stuff over there on Substack, because we got a lot of Angels writing coming up. Team USA is definitely not good, but they should be. Forget pride in your country and bringing home the true world championship. We got to baby our multi-million-dollar overpaid players. And that's true. It's going to take a butt whooping for the Americans to send their best and to actually feel like hockey players did this year, knowing that they had to go against the juggernaut Canada, and both the men and the women said, F it, we're going to beat the best. And to be the best, you have to beat the best. Woo, Ric Flair, and they did. Seems like we lose to Japan time after time. They always come with their best, and we always come with a few of our best. And that's true. If the Americans would go heads up with Japan, they should beat them. Should. Although Japan has superior players, I believe the Americans have more talent. And so they should win. So I give you that right there. So with that being said, join us tomorrow. Short post games right now. I'm sure the one with Mexico will be a longer post game, but against inferior teams like this, you're supposed to win. The post games won't be that long. We'll break into it more once they play better teams, such as, depending on what happens with Great Britain tomorrow, I doubt it. But if they beat Team Mexico, that one's going to be a barn burner. And then, of course, if they get into the semifinals and whatnot, those games should be a hell of a watch, and we will break those down. So for Todd Fox and everybody over here on Halos in the Infield, as I'm watching the shootout, which Carlson whiffed on the first shot, Montreal and the Ducks are in overtime. We're going to be switching over to that as soon as that sucker goes final. So with that being said, everybody have a good rest of your night. We will see you tomorrow on the World Baseball Classic, home of your USA team, Halos in the Infield.